I think we are live. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, everybody. Yes, we are live. Welcome you all. Live event today will be world. Will be talk, and we want to spread awareness about mental health in children, because quite often we talk about mental health in adults, but about children we still lack a lot of information. Let me welcome our panelists for today. We have with us consultancy. She's been working in this field for more than 25 years, and today she will help us understand what we can do as adults to ensure that kids are mentally healthy. We also have with us Pratiksha Gupta. Most of you would know Pratiksha. She is the CEO and founder of One Special Place. Pratiksha is a speech language pathologist with experience of over 10 years. Her expertise knowledge will help us gain an understanding and importance of involving with your children using different activities creatively. So I welcome you, ma'am. I welcome you, Pratiksha. I'm really looking forward to having this talk today. Uh, we know last couple of years have been especially challenging for all of us. Life as we knew changed, and a lot of things changed, and a lot of challenges were there. And with this, what happened was all of us as adults, though we all had a very, very rough time, right? But we can identify it. We can say that it was a rough year. We can say that, oh, this was not easy. But take a moment and think about our children. What happened with the kids? What happened to their behavior? What happened inside? What was the reason for such behaviors? Many of us parents did have a rough time to keep to really keep them busy, to keep them occupied. So the reason for this live today is to help you all understand what we can do, how we can help our children, and how to nurture the mental health of our children. So it's going to be a very insightful topic. So for all of those who've just joined us, we are going live from One Special Place Facebook page, and we'll be talking about mental health in children. And we have with us lovely panelists, Dr. Mridula Apte, a clinical psychologist, and Pratiksha Gupta, who's a speech language pathologist, CEO and founder of One Special Place. So, all right, let me begin with my first question. So my first question will obviously be for Mridula ma'am. Ma'am, in the last few years, this mental health conversation regarding mental health, around mental health is especially, started to increase. But of course, when it comes to mental health in children, I think these last few years were even more important, more so because now parents started spending so much time with their kids. Earlier it was schools and classes and tuitions and hobbies and going to a park to play, and now suddenly everything has somehow the focus has shifted now. So I'm sure a lot of us here want to understand, as parents, what are the warning signs we can look for in children?
Right. Thanks, Sai. And good evening, everyone. I think more than what we are going to say, parents who have experienced these effects of the pandemic and now the transition post the lockdown, we are probably just going to articulate that and give some more insights. So I feel that developmentally, children have suffered in the pandemic. Of course, having said that, children also have a very plastic brain, so they are likely to accommodate these changes and move on eventually. So we don't have to really worry, but we have to hold them through this transition phase as well as we can. Okay. So during the pandemic, developmentally, they have suffered in terms of their attention, concentration has really gone down. The structure and discipline of school has gone for a toss. And also there has been a major increase in mobiles and gadget use, of course, because of online learning, and otherwise also because parents have also been working. There has been no domestic help. They have had full days working on the computer themselves. So children have observed their parents also on the computer, entertaining themselves also on the computer or through gadgets or on TV. So it was kind of validated to have a mobile or to engage on the screen for a longer and longer time. And now suddenly with, everything opening up, the mobile, as adults, we know that we need to keep it away. We find it difficult to keep it away. So it's going to be very tough for the children to suddenly know that this is not a good thing, and they have to do other things, and they have to indulge in physical sports and activities, something that they have badly missed out during the pandemic. Also, socialization has taken a backseat. So social skill development is a very important part of growing up, and children have missed it out for almost 1.5 to 2 years. So that has been a big thing that has caused a lot of boredom, loneliness also for children who have never experienced it. For example, very small children who have just grown up in the pandemic or who were born during the pandemic. For them, probably life without a mask, they have never seen, a full face probably of people other than their parents. So for them, it's going to be very difficult to understand emotional cues and understand how to socialize, that is another very tough part that we have to deal with. And lastly, continuously being with parents, continuously being in the family, though it has had its positives, but it has also a whole chunk of problems because children have been under the scanner. They have been either monitored continuously or they have been neglected completely, sometimes because parents are too busy, and it's really difficult. We need to be compassionate towards the parents as well. They've also seen a lot of tiffs and fights and frictions that probably they wouldn't have seen if they were not at home, which are natural part between parents. So these are the things that we need to remember while we are helping them transition.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I totally agree with the fact that social skills is what was missing in the entire thing, and it's so important for what an important part of their development, right? Social skills, and that is the first thing that got affected in this pandemic. Ma'am, you've spoken about so many areas that we need to remember, we need to look at. But are there any things that, like risk factors that are involved, that makes kids more vulnerable?
Yeah, there are definitely some warning signs. For example, we can talk about warning signs in two ways. Either there could be internalizing kind of behaviors in terms of children who are extremely clingy, or they are not ready to let go of their parents. थोड़े दिन तो ये होने वाला है because they are joining school, but if it is for a prolonged amount of time, over a few weeks probably, then we would definitely call it something like separation anxiety, and we need to seek help for that. So very clingy behavior, crying all the time, internalizing things, not talking about what is happening in school, especially for older children. Also, a disturbance in sleep and appetite, which has already happened, but much more than that. I think all children have disturbed sleep and appetite nowadays, thanks to the pandemic. But if it continues even afterwards, and especially if children are not feeling hungry, or if they are overeating, binge eating, comfort eating, even beyond their hunger, or if their sleep is disturbed significantly, they are getting nightmares, they always want to sleep next to their parents, some major change or difference in their behaviors, or if they've started bedwetting after having gained complete control over their patterns of bladder control, or if they are actually talking about for example preteens or teenagers could be self-harming, or talking about life not being worth it, or talking about extreme boredom and meaninglessness in life. These are the things that are definitely warning signs, and you need to. Then there are the externalizing or outward kind of children, who will show behavior problems. They will show aggression, irritation, They will remove their anger to the outside world. They'll blame other people. And if this is happening excessively, then that is also a warning sign. So we need to monitor it. If it happens for a small patch of time, it's fine. But if it continues for a very long time, a few weeks maybe, then definitely it needs help.
Yeah, yeah. And now that we've understood what signs, what the risk factors, my next question is for Pratiksha. Pratiksha, as a speech language pathologist, in the last few years, in your work, have you seen a rise of cases, and how did you handle with these behavioral issues as a speech language pathologist?
Yes, very valid question. Thank you, Mridula ma'am. Very grateful that you could join us all the way from Pune, and we're very obliged. I am requesting all the viewers to, please leave your questions. If you have any, Mridula ma'am is here. We are discussing on a very important topic on mental health in children, with something which often gets neglected. So please drop down your questions. So Sai, coming back to your question about the rise in cases of children with developmental delays, especially converting to, speech and language delays, definitely there has been a rise. And we have been encountering more and more families who have reported children talking late or children regressing and also coming up with behavioral difficulties. And there are various reasons, as we've been discussing. Few things that have helped me as a professional is to sensitize parents about the importance of counseling. Counseling always takes a back seat. People want to shy away from seeing a psychologist. So one thing how I have tried to cope up with this is to make sure that my client, my patient, goes to a counselor, be it through an online session or meet up, in a regular way. You must see a counselor, get help for yourself. And children have mental health issues, but we should also not ignore mothers who are undergoing so much difficulty. They also have, moments of stress and anxiety because of the difficulty, because of the situation, so much social stigma in our country. So these are a few things that I, as a professional, I have ensured that I counsel my clients and give appropriate incentives for good behavior. But I also sensitize my patients to go to a psychologist. Something that I would like to share about the pandemic and how I saw a few more things. I saw that a lot of children who were single in their houses, like not having siblings, they have, I encountered that those children who did not have siblings had a bigger impact in their social skills, in their language development, in their happiness quotient. And but the children who had siblings, who had somebody in the house they could play with, and they had that reciprocal friendship with their siblings or people in the family, they could still, I think, cope better. But single parents or single children, I think those are the families which were most deeply impacted, because as Mridula ma'am was rightly saying, there is a whole generation of kids who have been born and brought up in the pandemic. They've never seen what a school looks like. So when now the schools are reopening, and that will be interesting to see how much we can structure them, how much we can prepare such, the children to get back to a life which they have not seen. Yes. So yeah, so I think a lot of studies and researches are also being conducted all across to understand the psychological effects of the pandemic.
Yeah, yeah. That's right. And you were right about the fact that now suddenly, as schools are opening, we're going to have a lot of behavioral issues cropping up, like ma'am was mentioning, feeling anxious about leaving parents or leaving the comfort zone that your house was for the last few years, and now going back into the world. This also reminds me about children with special needs, because for them this has been a totally different thing altogether. We've had so many parents who, we help them make their children understand what is pandemic, and what is this concept, and why we are not supposed to touch people, why you're supposed to go out. There are so many aspects here to deal with. Mridula ma'am, for children with special needs, for them, now that they're going to be going back, I know some places were equipped to have their occupational therapy sessions online, speech therapy online, special education online. Now that they're going to go back into an offline world and have that interaction again, I'm sure it's going to take some time. So do you have any, tips for parents to initiate that, going offline mode?
Yeah, special children or children with disabilities have definitely had it tougher. For example, if we think about neurodevelopmental disorders, children with ADHD, now with attention deficit becoming a universal issue with children, for children with ADHD, it is even more compounded. Yeah. And with their parents having to deal with them at home has been a very big issue. Online therapies have been a boon, and they have actually helped in sustaining the therapy. So that has been, I think, the biggest, telemental health has been the biggest boon of the pandemic. Similarly, for example, children with autism spectrum are it's very difficult for them to adjust change. And this has been a very big change for them. And we have found an increase in self-stimulatory behavior, stereotyping, even repetitively watching TV programs. So this is something that will need to change completely. So my idea, my view for, especially for children with disabilities, would be a very gradual transition, a very slow transition, very gradual transition, making them slowly aware of or making the task of going back to face-to-face sessions or schools very rewarding. So if it can be a very slow and gradual transition, not suddenly taking away their gadgets from them, that might actually help. Right. For children in general also, a gradual transition will definitely help. I think schools are planning a lot of that.
Yes.
A step up in remediation programs, I think, is a must that schools can encourage. Also, preventive counseling. So group counseling or preventive counseling needs to be stepped up in schools, not just for children, but I think also for teachers and parents, self-care for parents as well, because they have undergone a very stressful time the past 1.5 years, managing everything and juggling everything.
Yes.
Also, leaving their children is going to be a little anxiety provoking for parents.
Yes.
So that is also something we need to deal with. But having said that, maybe having a buddy. So घर के आसपास अगर कोई बच्चे इकट्ठा स्कूल जा सकते हैं, because maybe school buses might not suddenly start working, so they might need to be dropped. Carpool हो सकता है या so it's a little less anxiety provoking to go with a friend to school, so that can be started. Right. और ये सब होने के बाद भी children are going to be a little anxious. They are going to be a little distressed, and we as parents have to tolerate that distress a little bit, not suddenly try to correct it. So वो थोड़ा सा tolerate करेंगे तो बच्चे भी समझेंगे कि कभी-कभी ऐसे होता है और हमको वो tolerate करना है, फिर ठीक हो जाएगा. If we glorify school कि अब सब first class होने वाला है और बहुत बढ़िया है, then we are telling them something unreal. So I think that is something we need to do.
Right. So I think, first step is preparing your children, and the preparation means talking to them about it, having a conversation about it, what's to come. I think that will pacify a lot of kids' anxieties and worries of what will happen tomorrow when I go to school, who are my teachers going to be, what about COVID? COVID is still there, so there are so many questions that we have to answer and we have to prepare our children for. Having said that the schools are now about to start, it will also, mean that children are going to have homework again. I mean, they already had homework for online school, but now it's something they have to proactively do. So in this regard, Pratiksha, I would like to hear from you. What strategies can parents use now? Also, not just homework, but even to sort of, encourage them for, to build up the social skills. So what are the strategies that we can do, parents can do, some easy tips that they can probably use in a daily life now?
Right. So very rightly pointed out, Sai, that things are going to change, and everything what was not happening was on a big chutti, it's going to come back. Although homework and everything was still happening, but it was in a very different flavor. Uh, we all had to, like, I am a mother myself, and we had to learn how to do homework digitally and then submit it digitally, and then it fizzles out. It did fizzle out after a few months, the effectiveness of always being on the top of it. So I totally agree with Mridula ma'am. I think the first strategy has to take it slowly. The transition should be smooth. Children should be motivated. We can use reward charts with simple goals that, every day, okay, I expect you only to do your homework today. And then, encourage some play dates where children are collaborating. Their friends are meeting together to do some homework, maybe in an online play date if they cannot really meet again. So that also takes care of the slow transition, or having a hybrid approach, having a little bit of online as well as on-site help. So I feel going easy, having some play dates, keeping simple targets, rewarding children for any completed work, incentivizing completion of work and tasks should help. And also now, as regular parenting goes, you can always incentivize kids with some useful inputs and make easy goals for them to achieve. So I think these are a few strategies that can help children with special needs, although it is all the more difficult for us to expect such a rapid change of suddenly going to school and then again. So I think having a structure, like a visual schedule for kids on the spectrum, or kids who are having social anxiety difficulties, like having poor social skills, we can have a visual structure, visual schedules back into place, and some social stories that can be inculcated to teach them the behavior or teach them the changes that will come about. I think these things should help parents.
Wonderful. Yes, I think these are the strategies that all of you can use. All of us can use on a daily routine, on a daily basis, to make that shift, make that transition a little bit easier. So we've heard from Mridula ma'am, we've heard from Pratiksha about what are the different things you can use. Now, heading towards the end of our discussion, I just have a couple questions here. Firstly, for Mridula ma'am, that during this time when we talk about mental health, with parents especially, that there is something called as mental health, because a lot of times we don't think of our children in that term, right? We talk about stress on adults, but when it comes to children, parents still sometimes are confused about how to go about it. So are there things that they can do, they can use on a daily routine and forever, small tips that can help nurture the children's mental health? Just small things to make sure they are attuned to their emotional health, to understand what's happening in their lives. And now that they're going back to school, that means they're going to be back to that, the world where they'll have secrets and they'll have their own friends. So what are the things, the tips for parents that they can employ for a long term?
Yeah, that's a nice question, Sai, because I think getting stuck into the pandemic or no pandemic, se bhi upar, it's generic kind of a mental health that we need to talk about. Yeah. See, mental health and physical health are intertwined. So, अगर बच्चे ने properly खाना खाया है, exercise कर रहा है और ठीक से सो रहा है, तो half the battle is won over there. So, which is very common general logic, but it works. The second thing is, if parents can understand a little bit developmentally how children are. For example, at 1.5 or 2 years, most children are clingy. Most children will not leave their parents and go away. So making them forcefully go away from them or trying to make them bold is not the best idea. Okay. So if they can know that by 3 years, this is expected. By 5 years, this is expected. Expected का मतलब ये नहीं कि must है. with children, everything is very flexible. So 1 or 2 years also here and there is fine. Okay.
Yeah.
So थोड़ा सा जो expected norms है, if parents can educate themselves little bit about that, then they can expect very realistically from their children. Okay. The second rule is, I think, being little flexible with them. अब अगर कहीं पे स्क्रीन टाइम 1 घंटा रोज अलाउड है फॉर लेट्स से फॉर 7-year-old और 8-year-old, आपका बच्चा 1.5 घंटा देख रहा है मगर बाकी चीजें सब कुछ ठीक ठाक कर रहा है, you don't need to bother so much. You don't need to be uptight on certain things. Okay. So be a little flexible, give them a little leeway here and there, keep some very few fixed ground rules कि सोना इसी टाइम पे है या पढ़ाई कंप्लीट होनी ही चाहिए, या 2-4 फिक्स रूल्स रख के बाकी उनको छोड़ दो, बहुत ज्यादा उनके पीछे नहीं पड़ो, बिकॉज क्या होता है then they don't get time for creative expression, they don't get time to explore new things, to keep those secrets, to talk to their friends, which is going to teach them a lot of things about real life. बहुत ज्यादा उनको क्लासेस में डाल देंगे, बहुत ज्यादा उनका टाइट स्ट्रक्चर करेंगे, तो इस सब चीज के लिए they don't get time. Okay, so be a flexible parent, but be firm. Have firm disciplining patterns. Don't change all the time. So आज जिस चीज के लिए मना किया है कल उसी चीज के लिए because you're tired आपने हाँ कर दिया, एक आध बार हो जाता है, but normally be a little firm about things. So be firm. Even if you are not friendly, it's okay, but be firm with your children. Be parents. You are supposed to be parents, so be parents. Friendly parent is fine, but friends मत बनो, वो सब गड़बड़ हो जाता है.
Yeah, very rightly said, ma'am.
Parent or a friend, confusion हो जाता है.
That's absolutely right. And I think another thing I would like to add, which ma'am has been talking about a lot, is that I think at the end of the day we have to understand that children learn from us. So if we want to nurture our children's mental health, the first thing would be to prioritize your own mental health. So making sure that you have healthy coping mechanisms, so child knows that this is what my parent doing, and this is what it's okay to be angry or it's okay to be upset. So these are small little things that might last I just want to hear from you on the last point in self-care for parents. I think a lot of parents are with feeling too like they're ridden with guilt now, that I'm not able to give time to my child, or I'm not able to do this. Is there anything you want to tell such parents? I'm sure there are a lot of moms, a lot of parents who want to hear from a psychologist that it's okay to, really relax. It's okay sometimes to, when your house is a little messy. I think if coming from you, that would mean a lot for a lot of our parents. So please, ma'am.
Absolutely. There is a very famous mental health person called Winnicott. And he has given the concept of the good enough parent. So you don't need to be the best parent. There is nothing like best or perfect. Remember that. You can be good enough, and that's fine. That's absolutely fine. Okay. So that will make your child also a little more relaxed. Don't try to be the perfect parent. There's nothing like that. It's a non-existent concept.
Right. Amazing. Yeah. So we have heard from Mridula ma'am, we've heard from Pratiksha. We've told you what are the warning signs you can look for in your child. We've also discussed on how to ensure your child is mentally healthy. What are the things you can do? What are the areas, factors to look at? Pratiksha has also shared a lot of insightful tips on how we can make this transition easier for our kids, especially now that things are slowly going back to normal. So we hope that you took something from this discussion. And if you have any questions, please post it in the comment box. We'll get back to you. And lastly, let's remember that mental health is as important as physical health. And let's do our bit to take care of ourselves and our children. So I thank you, Mridula ma'am. Thank you so much for taking out your precious time with us. And I'm sure everything you've shared with us today is, all of us are taking it back with us. And you've given a lot to parents to think over. So thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you, Pratiksha, for taking out time for today's event.
Thank you, Sai, for conducting the live. And thanks, Mridula ma'am. Your words are golden. And I am very confident that parents or whoever, caregivers, teachers who are watching, who have been with us or will watch this as a replay will have lots of good points to take back. So thank you once again, and thanks to all of you who have been a part of today's live, watched us. Thank you so much. Thank you, Sai.
Okay, thank you. Signing off now. Take care.